Hello, I'm here with David Braben, the creator of the ambitious and exciting Elite Dangerous, which is finally coming to Xbox One.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
Delighted to be here at E3 showing it.
How has the show been so far with Elite Dangerous specifically?
Oh, it's been great. I mean, the reception has been wonderful. It was great, obviously, first with the Microsoft conference and obviously the Daily Show we're on, but also people playing it now, and it's live in the world. We've already got people playing the game and having a lot of fun.
So when did the discussions begin with Microsoft? Because there's obviously a special relationship going on there with the preview program.
Well, absolutely. I mean, we've worked with Microsoft for a very long time. We've done a launch title on Xbox One, of course, with Zoo Tycoon and then Scream Ride. So our tools and technology are also very well tested. But we obviously keep talking to them, and the possibility of doing Elite Dangerous came up.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's a very interesting game, and people have been really loving it on PC. For those players who have a lot of experience with the game thus far, what are the differences going to be that they might encounter for the Xbox One version?
Well, the first thing, obviously, is you're playing in your sitting room. We have a truly excellent audio team back at Frontier, and it always upsets me seeing a lot of PC players tend to play with stereo speakers, often speakers sort of this high on the desk, whereas the 5.1 or 7.1 audio sounds so good that I think a lot more players on Xbox will be playing on a really good audio setup. You're also playing sitting back in your seat, which is a sort of nice and relaxed way of doing it. I think that's the biggest difference. The game itself is the same. However, we are bringing soon to Xbox what we showed in the Daily Show and have talked about, which is this close quarters combat, which is a new mode in the game. It's outside the game. It allows you to practice after you've done the training missions, I would suggest. Doing player-on-player combat. It's a championship-type setup where you play either teams or individually against each other in arenas, and it's great fun.
I think one of the more interesting features of the PC version, anyway, when it comes to hardware and technology that opens up new ways to interface with the game, are some of the head and eye tracking stuff that goes on. What is there any chance that Kinect will enable you to do some interesting things like that on the Xbox One?
It's not something we've been looking at the moment. It's something we may look at in the future, but it's not planned.
Okay. When you look at something like HoloLens, I'm sure your imagination must run wild.
Yes.
If your wildest dreams, what would you like to do with the HoloLens, potentially for Elite Dangerous?
Well, I think the challenge with Elite Dangerous is you're in another world. It works very, very well for VR because you're seated, so it nicely matches if you're sort of sitting on a couch in the sitting room. It works very well. I think the issue with HoloLens is the AR. I think we're more set up for a VR experience. Having said that, HoloLens is very interesting.
I just always imagine having the sort of the tool set and the just the cockpit just right in front of me, just projected. But that's my own personal wish, I suppose.
But you get that on VR. That's
you certainly do.
Yeah.
You certainly do.
So yeah.
So let's talk about what he's doing at the moment. So right now he's loading up a combat training scenario. Can you walk me through, I guess, what it's like to sort of train and get used to this for people who have not played the game before?
Well, you obviously these are training scenarios which are the same each time, and they're great from a player point of view because you can get used to the controls in an environment where you're not at risk, you're not look silly in front of other players or whatever, and they're graded in terms of difficulty, so you can do them sort of in order if you like, or you can skip forward to one that's sort of a bit harder. And you also can try out some of the ships that it will take you a while to get to in game and see what they feel like, see how exciting they are to play. But in terms of the gameplay, and also you can play these now on the game preview program for free, because you can play for a few hours before you decide whether you like the game or not. And we're running live on Xbox now as we speak. But it's really it's intended to be an intro to the game. We've also got lots of videos that explain the controls. It's funny, it's like when we first started playing first-person shooters a decade or more ago on console, and I saw a lot of players just sort of looking at their feet because you hadn't got used to the camera look separate from the moving around. And I think there's a learning experience here. So it won't click straight away, but when it does click, it's really great. It feels really wonderful to be in control of a spaceship, and it feels very natural. And then there are a lot of other things you can start doing that are a lot more sort of sophisticated. We have something called Flight Assist, which helps your ship. It flies quite like an aeroplane, so it's quite intuitive. But you can turn that off. and you can do things like swiveling on the spot, doing some really amazing maneuvers. There are loads of videos on YouTube of people doing these in the game. A great guy called Isinona, so some wonderful videos up there. But that's the sort of thing you can learn, and the point of this is, it's not so much it's role-playing, it's actually you are learning those skills, and you get better and better at it. And then CQC is intended so that you can really hone those skills. And you just go straight into the game, which is great. And then you can use those skills in the game ultimately to help you in combat things, because you can play the game, whether it's as a bounty hunter, a pirate, an assassin, in lots of different ways where combat is key. And it's great fun.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously been a revival of the space sim / combat genres, and I'm personally very excited. But I'm curious to hear why you think that these games are so special, and how they manage to just capture our wonder like they have been doing for decades.
Yeah, I think it's a shame that we haven't seen any real space sims for quite a long time. We've had around a decade of nothing. And I think it's because we've got a lot of sort of follow my leader at the moment, where a game is successful and we see a lot of games that are quite like it. And ironically, we're seeing lots and lots of space sims at the moment, which, by the way, I think is a great thing, because I love I love these games. It's just I'd rather have had them spaced over time, so I'd have had more to play 5 years ago, etc.
How many unrealized ideas do you have left to put into Elite Dangerous?
Masses,
absolutely
masses. We've talked about some of them, and they will come over time. But it's already a very, very rich game. There is a lot there and a lot of things to do.
Absolutely, yeah. Do you view it as a platform of sorts, where it's something you're just going to be adding to this for years to come?
That's exactly the intention. We've indicated what some of those things are, and we've done a whole sequence of updates. The third major update, Power Play, came out a few weeks ago and has been really well received. And also, by the way, is on Xbox. So all of that content is on the Xbox if you want to play it. It's for the top sort of political level for players. We've had players who've played thousands of hours now. It is astonishing the dedication people are showing to these games, but also for those players to show that they can sort of interact with other players and do things like bringing down governments and changing the geographic, the politics of the galaxy.
Yeah.
Which I think is it's very interesting that you can do that.
Yeah, it definitely creates this long tail for a game that is something that's pretty new for the industry at large. I mean, discounting MMOs like World of Warcraft, which have been around for a very long time now. When you were making games, years ago, there was a lot of iterations on hardware. There was new stuff to always chase. How does it feel for you as a creator to just sort of have a solid foundation that you can work with and just be creative without worrying about chasing the next best thing when it comes to hardware?
Well, I mean, in the sort of 32 years I've been in the business, actually, there's been a regular rate of change all the way through, and I think now is not really any different. The key thing, though, is, and why this is the best time it's ever been, we have a real sort of golden age, if you like, is that we can do, is this move. We're now going directly to players. One of the big changes, I think, for me, is the previously what determined whether a game would get made was the route to market and the publishers, through the high street. Now it's actually the quality and what people want. So this engagement that you're seeing now with Elite Dangerous, which is wonderful. It's a two-way street, but it also means that the games are just going to get a lot better, and we'll see more and more games filling essentially the gaps between other games. We've got concentrations of games in game space, if you like, with huge gaps between them. I'd love to see more new games, and we are starting to see them with the excellent indie scene.
Has gaming ever been better than it is right now?
I don't think so. People say that the 80s were very good, and that they were great fun, but I think time is amazing. It condenses things. There was a lot of rubbish in the 80s, a huge amount of rubbish, and only the good ones have survived, which is a good thing, and the same with music. And I think now, actually, there are fewer rubbish games that I've seen now than I've ever seen. And actually, with a lot of them, even the ones that are less fun to play, you think, actually, I love that idea, or that's a really beautiful image.
Yeah. Well, you've certainly made something very impressive, and I'm sure Xbox One owners are probably already enjoying it at home. I'm here at the show. I don't have the chance to do that, but rest assured, once I'm back.
After the show.
Yeah, after the show. Everyone, thanks for joining me. David, thank you for joining me on the show. Stay tuned to GameSpot.com for more coverage of Elite Dangerous and the rest of the games at E3 2015.
Thank you.